This is Charlie Key. You are listening to the Be a Light podcast. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden." Today's guest is Addie Freeman, Miss Southeast Georgia's outstanding teen. She is such a light in her community. She's so genuine, and she is a true heart of gold. She was one of my first friends when I joined the Miss America organization, and I'm so grateful that the Lord put her in my life because she radiates the love of Christ in everything that she does. So everyone, welcome Addie Freeman. Hello, Addie. Thank you so much for joining me for the second episode of the Be a Light podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you do a lot in your community with your fight against juvenile arthritis, your work in the community, and your work in the Miss America organization. So why do you do all these things?
Well, my platform for the Miss America organization is juvenile arthritis. And the reason why I chose that was because when I was 15 months old, I was actually diagnosed with posteroarticular juvenile arthritis. And with the type of arthritis that I had, I later developed uveitis, which is arthritis in the eyes. And so I was really young when I was diagnosed, and I just feel like a lot of people don't realize that kids can get arthritis too. Mm-hmm. And that's why I chose that to be my platform, and that's why I want to advocate for it, because it's really important that people educate themselves about that and that kids can get it. And hopefully in the near future or sometime in our lifetime, we can eventually find a cure so kids don't have to go through it on normal childhood for having it.
That's incredible. So what are you currently doing in your community, and how can we get involved with fighting against juvenile arthritis?
This past year has been a crazy year with COVID-19, and so I haven't been able to do the events that I usually do with the Arthritis Foundation face-to-face, but I'm still working with them virtually. They had a virtual crystal ball, which is one of their biggest events they have of the year. And so we still got to raise a lot of funds for the organization. Right now, I'm currently working on the Walk to Cure Arthritis. It's this April, I think, so I'm really excited for that.
Wow, that's awesome. That's incredible that y'all are still trying to, of course, fundraise. It's been really hard for nonprofits through all this COVID-19 because it's hard to find fundraisers that you can do online. So I know that you're a singer. You're an incredible singer. So when did you start singing?
My whole life, I've always just sang. My dad sings, so I think that's where I got it from. But yeah, since I was little, you will always see me singing around the house, in the car, in the shower, literally everywhere. I started taking voice lessons in 5th grade, and I think I stopped around that in middle school. But yeah, I've always had a love and passion for singing.
Yeah. Do you want to do that when you get older?
Not anymore. If you asked Addie, I would have told you I was going to be a pop singer when I grow up. But
I love that. Okay, so not only are you a singer, but you are also an artist. She has an Instagram page, Art by Addie. It's incredible. So when did you start doing art during quarantine, or have you always done it?
I have always loved drawing. I actually did start drawing a little bit more during quarantine, just because I had a bunch of time on my hands. I would watch Netflix and draw at the same time, and I would just draw for hours. And I saw YouTube videos and videos on TikTok where people were using this app called Procreate on their iPads, and I thought it was really cool because they'd make a bunch of digital designs. And actually this past Christmas, my mom got me an iPad Pro, and we downloaded the app Procreate, and I've been drawing and using that app ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. Every time you make a new post, I'm just amazed because it's really good. So you also do sports. What sports do you do?
I run cross country and track. I started track last year, and this past year was my first year running cross country. So
I'm assuming you do long distance and track since you do cross country?
Yes, I do.
Oh, wow. I don't know how you do it. I run track too, and I can only do the 100 and the 200. That long distance.
See, I feel like that's the hardest thing because sometimes, during practice, we'd have to do like sprints, and I remember those practices being the hardest ones.
Oh, we've had to run miles at practice before, and those have been the hardest for me. I do not have the endurance for that. But I took a break from track this year because I've been the busiest I've ever been, which is weird because you wouldn't think that with COVID-19 and everything. But I also play soccer, so I just didn't want to add another thing to my schedule this year, and I knew that I wouldn't be my best at track and everything else that I was doing. And speaking of busy schedules, how do you manage your schedule? Because you're a very busy person.
I ask myself the same thing sometimes. I just make sure that I prioritize school because that's the most important thing right now that I'm involved with in my life. So I make sure that I get my homework done, studying done for any tests or quizzes that I have, and then I put everything else second.
I love that you talked about priority because one thing I'm focusing on this year is trying to make my life a life of priority because I listened to a podcast, Sadie Robertson's podcast, and there was a guest on it. I think his name was Nate. I can't remember his last name, but his best piece of advice was about making a balance in your schedule, but not trying to find a balance because when you look for a balance, you come up short in everything that you do, but making a life of priority, that way you're putting all your time and energy to the things that are most important to you.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who is maybe on the fence about joining the Miss America organization or who's new to the Miss America organization?
I would totally tell them to just go for it. I mean, not a lot of kids get the opportunity to be a part of the Miss America organization, and you can grow so much from this organization and gain so many life skills. I know I have. If I was a totally different person when I first started the Miss America organization than I am now, I'm more confident. I'm able to have the confidence to speak in front of a bunch of people, which I did not have when I first started. And I just say it's a life experience. It's really something we can benefit from. And, you know, it's not always about winning. For me, I know as long as I do my best and I be myself when I get into the interview room with the judges, then that's all that matters. Because as long as I'm giving 100% effort and doing my best, that's all that matters to me.
Definitely. And it's helped. I totally agree with you, especially with public speaking and interview skills, because the other day I found an old interview of mine from when I won a talent show in my hometown. And I was just giving like one-word answers. I was not confident. I was so shy. And it was, and it's just funny to look back at that and then see where I am now and that I can do a whole, an 8-minute interview? I think that's how it is for the teens. And it's crazy how much the Miss America organization helps you with confidence and interview skills and just meeting new people. And you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping others with your social impact initiative. So it's really a life-changing experience. I know that your faith is very important to you. So when did you give your life to Jesus?
In 7th grade, I was baptized. That's when I decided to make that decision. But I was so young, I don't think I really prioritized Jesus in my life at that time. And probably a year after I was baptized, I kind of just got lazy, kind of lukewarm, and I didn't really, talk to God that often. The only time I really spent time with him was church on Wednesdays or Sundays. And once quarantine started, I got all the time in the world to do that. And that was when my relationship grew with Christ, and it's the closest it's ever been since. And I'm forever thankful for actually quarantine because I don't think my relationship would be strong as it is now if we didn't go through that time period. And so I'm really thankful for that. And, one of the things that helped me really grow my relationship with him was buying a study Bible. If you told me last year to go buy a Bible and read it every day and study the word, I probably would have been like, that's not really for me. I did not think I would do that. But it really is life-changing, and I really do enjoy it. And the privilege that we have to read his word is just amazing, because I know there are some Christians in other countries that don't get to do that. And so we're very fortunate that we do have the opportunity to still do that. And so, yeah, if anyone wants to go their relationship, I say buy a Bible and read it.
Exactly. And that you really went right into my next question. It was, what advice would you give to someone who is maybe new to Christianity? Because there are a lot of people who want that relationship with Jesus, but they just don't know where to start because the Bible is a big book. It can be overwhelming. And prayer, sometimes you just don't know how to pray. So what would you tell someone who is in that kind of situation?
Well, if someone wanted to start reading the Bible, if they're interested, I would suggest one of the Gospels. The first book I read was Matthew, and I loved it. I know a lot of people read John as well. I read that one, and I really loved it too. But yeah, I would say start with the Gospels, or if not, that's totally fine. You can start with whatever book you want to read. I just know a lot of people recommend, and I do also, to start with the Gospels. And prayer, I know it can seem really complicated to some people, especially people that are new to Christianity. But it's really just as simple as talking to him. That's really all he wants. He wants a relationship with us. And prayer is one of the really big things that we get to have because we get to just have a conversation with him and talk to him about anything. And I think that's really powerful, and I love that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because, for me, when I first started really growing my relationship with God, I overthought prayer so much. Like I would think, oh, if my prayer is not long enough, it doesn't really count. But yes, it does. And now that I'm saying that, it sounds ridiculous because, God listens to our prayers even when they're short and even when they're poorly worded. All he wants is to talk with us. And so I think remembering that and knowing that is very important, and knowing that he has chosen us and he sent his son to die for us. And when Jesus was crucified on the cross, the veil in the church was torn. And so that just gives us full communication with him. And it's so beautiful. And I agree with you with starting with the Gospels, or if you wanted to start with Genesis and just read chronologically. I did start with the Gospel. I started with Mark. It's one of the shorter Gospels. And
that's the one I'm reading right now.
Yeah, I liked that one. And then Paul's letters are always good because they just are solid everyday advice for how to live. So yeah. I would definitely say the Gospels, and remembering that it's just talking to God. Mm-hmm. So Easter is just around the corner. So what are some of your family's favorite Easter traditions?
We don't have that many traditions, honestly. We usually just go down to Alabama and see my grandmother and spend Easter weekend with her. But one thing we do every Easter is we dye eggs. I love that. It's something I've always done growing up every Easter, and I really enjoy that time that I get to spend with my family.
Yeah, same for me. I just love the time that I get to spend with my family, and my grandparents always have a big Easter egg hunt for all the little cousins and things. So that's always really fun. We didn't get to do that last year though because of COVID and everything. We wanted to protect my grandparents. But one thing we did do last year is we didn't go in person to church, but we watched Transformation Church's worship service, and with Michael Todd preaching a beautiful sermon. It's called In the Middle, and I would definitely recommend watching it. It's just the whole message of, your trials make you stronger, and it's really beautiful. So I definitely recommend listening to it. And if maybe some people are out there who don't have a family to spend Easter with, I would just encourage you to find, because there is someone out there who loves you and supports you, even if that's God, because God does love you and he supports you, and he's truly the only one who's going to be able to be with you forever and support you forever. And he's our Father. He's a good, good Father. I read a quote the other day that said, family is anyone or anything that you need it to be. So maybe they're not related to you by blood, but there is someone out there who loves you. So I would just encourage you to find those people in your lives, find good company. So what verse would you say is your favorite verse, and just a verse that you live by?
I have a lot. I know I said one last time, but I can't remember the specific chapter that was in John. So I'm just going to say one that I also love that I have memorized. It's Psalm 34:18. It's the Lord is near the brokenhearted. He saved those crushed in spirit. And I just really love that because it's a reminder that whenever we're going through seasons of hardship or just literally every second of our lives, God will always be with us. He will never leave us. He's with us 24/7. And it's just a reminder that he's with you every step of the way in your life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's a great place to wrap it up. You really you dropped a bomb right there. That was awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today. And you truly have a heart of gold. And I'm just so excited for everybody to hear what you have to say. And I know so many people are going to be blessed. So thank you for taking time to do this. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in for the second episode of the Be a Light podcast. Addie is so wise, and the Lord really spoke to her today. And I'm so grateful that she was able to join us. If you want to follow her on her journey, you can follow her on Instagram at Miss Southeast Georgia OT. Her second Instagram is addie.may with 3 Ys. Her Instagram for spreading the gospel is _His Divine Grace _. And her art Instagram is art.by.addie with 2 Es. Thank you for listening to the Be a Light podcast. Join us every week for a new episode.